Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm so excited. We are diving into Florence Scovel Shinn. She predates Neville Goddard. I have this thing about me when I hook into something that resonates. I like to go to the farthest or first person that it came from, or the first instances that it was used, as far as I can go. And Florence thus far has reached that limit for me, although I am open to receiving anybody who came previous to her, documented books or writings, teachings, if you will. This is about the game of life and how to play it. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle. It is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. And the Old and the New Testaments give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This means that whatever man sends out in word or deed will return to him. What he gives, he will receive. If he gives hate, he will receive hate. If he gives love, he will receive love. If he gives criticism, he will receive criticism. If he lies, he will be lied to. If he cheats, he will be cheated. We are taught also that the imaging faculty plays a leading part in the game of life. Keep thy heart or imagination with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverb 4:23. This means that what man imagines, sooner or later externalizes in his affairs. So we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imaging faculty. A person with an imaging faculty trained to image only good brings into his life every righteous desire of his heart: health, wealth, love, friends, perfect self-expression, his highest ideals. There are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. The subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity, and it does this. I feel like I need to slow down. I'm going to read that part again. There are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. The subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity, and it does what it is directed to do. It has no power of induction. Whatever man feels deeply or images clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and carried out in minutest detail. For example, a woman I know, when a child, always made believe she was a widow, she dressed up in black clothes and wore a long black veil, and people thought she was very clever and amusing. She grew up and married a man with whom she was deeply in love. In a short time he died, and she wore black and a sweeping veil for many years. The picture of herself as a widow was impressed upon the subconscious mind, and in due time worked itself out, regardless of the havoc created. The conscious mind has been called mortal or carnal mind. It is the human mind and sees life as it appears to be, in the 3D, as it appears. It sees death, disaster, sickness, poverty, and limitation of every kind, and it impresses upon the subconscious. The superconscious mind is the God mind within each man and is the realm of perfect ideas. In it is the perfect pattern spoken of by Plato, the divine design for there is a divine design for each person. There is a place that you are to fill and no one else can fill, something you are to do which no one else can do. There is a perfect picture of this in the superconscious mind. It usually flashes across the conscious as an unattainable ideal, something too good to be true. In reality, it is man's true destiny or destination, flashed to him from the infinite intelligence which is within himself. Jesus Christ taught that man's words played a leading part in the game of life. By your words ye are justified, and by your words ye are condemned. For example, a woman who had a great deal of money joked continually about getting ready for the poorhouse. In a few years, she was almost destitute, having impressed the subconscious mind with a picture of lack and limitation. Fortunately, the law works both ways, and a situation of lack may be changed to one of plenty. For example, a woman came to me one hot summer's day for a treatment for prosperity. Treatment in this book is going to be akin to like a spiritual coach, if you will. She was worn out, dejected, and discouraged. She said she possessed just $8 in the world. I said, good. We'll bless the $8 and multiply them as Jesus Christ multiplied the loaves and the fishes. For he taught that every man had the power to bless and to multiply, to heal and to prosper. She said, what shall I do next? I replied, follow intuition. Have you a hunch to do anything or to go anywhere? Intuition and it's going to be the impulse, the divine guidance. Intuition means intuition or to be taught from within. It is man's unerrings guide. I don't know if I said that right. And I will deal more fully with its law in a following chapter. The woman replied, I don't know. I seem to have a hunch to go home. I've just enough money for car fare. Her home was in a distant city and was one of lack and limitation, and the reasoning mind, or intellect, would have said, stay in New York and get work and make some money. I replied, then go home. Never violate a hunch. I spoke the following words for her. Infinite Spirit, open the way for great abundance, for she is an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to her by divine right. I told her to repeat it continually also. She left for home immediately, and calling on a woman one day, she linked up with an old friend of her family. Through this friend, she received thousands of dollars in a most miraculous way. She has said to me often, tell people about the woman who came to you with $8 and a hunch. The object of the game of life is to see clearly one's good and to obliterate all mental pictures of evil. Man has ever a silent listener at his side, his subconscious mind. Every thought, every word is impressed upon it and carried out in an amazing detail. Again, the subconscious mind is not able to reject any thought or picture that you present to it. And it does not know or understand the difference between real and unreal, wanted or unwanted. It takes everything in. This is when I speak about programming, what you were programmed with from childhood, even in the womb. This is what I'm talking about. That's what holds the program. The subconscious is what holds the program. It is like a singer making a record on the sensitive disc of the phonograph plate. Every note and tone of the singer's voice is registered. If he coughs or hesitates, it is registered also. So let us break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. As I've also said many, many times, it is important not only to forgive, mainly self, but others if you feel the need, and to forget, because when you hold on to that thought, that vision, that instance, that experience, you're keeping it, you're holding on to it in the subconscious to be played out at a later date. And even if you do forgive somebody, if you're holding on to something of that nature that is undesirable, there is part of you that has not let it go and forgiven. The law of prosperity. One of the greatest messages given to the race through the scriptures is that God is man's supply and that man can release through his spoken word all that belongs to him by divine right. He must, however, have perfect faith in his spoken word. Isaiah said, "My word shall not return unto me void, but shall accomplish that whereunto it is sent." We know now that words and thoughts are a tremendous vibratory force, ever molding man's body and affairs. A woman came to me in great distress and said she was to be sued on the 15th of the month for $3,000. She knew no way of getting the money and was in despair. I told her God was her supply and that there is a supply for every demand. So I spoke the word. I gave thanks that the woman would receive $3,000 at the right time in the right way. I told her she must have perfect faith and act her perfect faith. The 15th came, but no money had materialized. She called me on the phone and asked what she was to do. I replied, "It is Saturday, so they won't sue you today. Your part is to act rich, thereby showing perfect faith that you will receive it by Monday." She asked me to lunch with her to keep up her courage. When I joined her at a restaurant, I said, "This is no time to economize. Order an expensive luncheon and act as if you have already received $3,000. All things whatsoever ye ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive." You must act as if you had already received it. The next morning, she called me on the phone and asked me to stay with her during the day. I said, "No. You are divinely protected and God is never too late." In the evening, she phoned again, greatly excited, and said, "My dear, a miracle has happened. I was sitting in my room this morning when the doorbell rang. I said to the maid, 'Don't let anyone in.' The maid, however, looked out the window and said, 'It is your cousin with the long white beard.' So I said, 'Call him back. I would like to see him.' He was just turning the corner when he heard the maid's voice and he came back. He talked for about an hour, and just as he was leaving, he said, 'Oh, by the way, how are finances?' I told him I needed the money, and he said, 'Why, my dear, I will give you $3,000 the first of the month.' I didn't like to tell him I was going to be sued. What shall I do? I won't receive it till the first of the month, and I must have it tomorrow. I said, 'I'll keep treating.' I said, 'Spirit is never too late. I give thanks she has received the money on the invisible plane and that it manifests on time.' The next morning, her cousin called her up and said, 'Come to my office this morning and I will give you the money.' That afternoon, she had $3,000 to her credit in the bank and wrote checks as rapidly as her excitement would permit. If one asks for success and prepares for failure, he will get the situation he is prepared for. For example, a man came to me asking me to speak the word that a certain debt would be wiped out. I found he spent his time planning what he would say to the man when he did not pay his bill, thereby neutralizing my words. He should have seen himself paying the debt. We have a wonderful illustration of this in the Bible, relating to the 3 kings who were in the desert without water for their men and horses. They consulted the prophet Elisha, who gave them this astonishing message. Thus saith the Lord, ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye see rain, yet make this valley full of ditches. Man must prepare for the thing he has asked for when there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight. For example, a woman found it necessary to look for an apartment during the year when there was a great shortage of apartments in New York. It was considered almost an impossibility, and her friends were sorry for her and said, "Isn't it too bad? You'll have to store your furniture and live in a hotel." She replied, "You needn't feel sorry for me. I am a Superman, and I will get an apartment." She spoke the words. Infinite Spirit opened the way for the right apartment. She knew there was a supply for her every demand, and that she was unconditioned working on the spiritual plane, and that one with God is a majority. She had contemplated buying new blankets when the tempter, her ego, the adverse thought or reasoning mind, suggested, "Don't buy the blankets. Perhaps, after all, you won't get an apartment and you will have no use for them." She promptly replied to herself, "I'll dig my ditches by buying the blankets." So she prepared for the apartment, acted as though she already had it. She found one in a miraculous way, and it was given to her, although there were over 200 other applicants. The blankets showed active faith. The one who knows spiritual law is undisturbed by appearance and rejoices while he is yet in captivity. That is, he holds to his vision and gives thanks that the end is accomplished. He has received. Jesus Christ gave a wonderful example of this. He said to his disciples, "Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are ripe already to harvest." Envisioning it already done. His clear vision pierced the world of matter, and he saw clearly the 4th dimensional world, things as they really are, perfect and complete in divine mind. So man must ever hold the vision of his journey's end and demand the manifestation of that which he has already received. It may be his perfect health, love, supply, self-expression, home, or friends. They are all finished and perfect ideas registered in divine mind, man's own superconscious mind, and must come through him, not to him. Must come through him, not to him. Jesus Christ knew the truth of this when he said, "If 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven." One gets too close to his own affairs and becomes doubtful and fearful. The friend or healer sees clearly the success, health, or prosperity and never wavers because he is not close to the situation. As an example, a lot of people will think it's easier to manifest for another person rather than to manifest their own. And the reason being is, as they're describing, when you're really close to something energetically, your burning desire or lack or whatever it is that's in your life, you're so close to it that it is more easily swayed by the ego. You're more easily swayed by the energies and by the 3D, what it's showing you, until you master it. So in essence, Florence Scovel Shinn, in my perspective, was a spiritual life coach, teaching the law of vibration, the law of the universe. And people would come to her for treatments to manifest or create. In essence, that's similar to what I do, although I prefer to teach people to do it for themselves, which is why I offer the 13 steps to transformation, to make you more aware of the programming in order to release it, so that you not only can create and manifest for yourself, but it's akin to a spiritual awakening, which also heightens your intuition, just so much more. It's so much more. So I absolutely love Florence. It is much easier to demonstrate for someone else than for oneself. So a person should not hesitate to ask for help if he feels himself wavering. A keen observer of life once said, "No man can fail if one person sees him successful." Such is the power of the vision, and many a great man has owed his success to a wife or sister or friend who believed in him and held without wavering to the perfect pattern. It works both ways though, because again, if you're holding the vision for another person, but they're, as the previous example said, preparing for the worst, and you're seeing them with the best, they have, their energy is going to attract to them where they're at. So being wavering is one thing, but as the one example, when she was saying that he was preparing what he was going to tell the person when he did not pay the debt, was him preparing for exactly that. So it contradicted her visualizing him receiving it. You have to have both people doing it together, which is why a lot of times you're asked not to share with others what it is that you're attempting to manifest, because energetically they could picture you not getting it or whatever. Maybe not even purposely, but at this point, I'm going to go ahead and continue on in the gratitude group. If this is where I leave you, I trust you got what it is that you were meant to receive. And of course, I will always be back with more Florence. For those who want to join the gratitude group, you can find the link in the description box below. It is $5.99 a month. You can cancel at any time. Not only do you get this extended, but you get access to the actual extended group membership that has all of the tarot. You also get all of the previous videos on the law of attraction and all sorts of good stuff. So let us get into it now.